We've travelled inland from the coast, well inland into Gloucestershire, as you were saying, but it is no less wet here. It's the Severn River floodplain just up the road. It meets the Avon River, and an awful lot of water is lying on the ground now, and we're specifically looking at the floodplain areas, which have become hugely controversial because a lot of more building in recent years has gone on our floodplains, and it has given rise to a real debate over how wise that is to build on the floodplains. Now, here in Longford, a particularly controversial scheme that was dreamt up in the mid-2000s when developers put forward the plan to build 570 houses down here just on the floodplains below our helicopter, about 1,000 feet below us. Now, the local council, Tewkesbury Council, turned that down, but the developers appealed. The government at the time, the Labour government under Secretary of State Hazel Blears, overturned that, upheld the appeal, in other words, and said, OK, go ahead with the housing. And we can now see for the first time that some of the development on the ground is starting to take place. They've been knocking down houses there, old houses, to make room for access routes into the area. But the big surprise is perhaps that a lot of the land is underwater at the moment. So it is very much obviously a floodplain, and yet the developers plan to build 570 homes there. And a lot of local people, as I'm going to be finding in a few minutes' time when we land here, are rather opposed to that. They feel it's damaging the environment. They think that building on floodplains merely moves the water somewhere else and endangers somebody else's homes. But undeterred by the controversy over this, now the local developers, along with local councils here in the Gloucester, Tewkesbury and Cheltenham area, have decided to put in, or chasing planning permission for another 3,075 homes in this very same area on the floodplain around Longford, which is just north of Gloucester city centre. We don't know whether that's going to go ahead at the moment, but it's an awful lot of land that's underwater at the moment that developers want to build on, and it does raise questions about the wisdom of that. And it's another of the big questions, the big debates, the big controversies that have arisen after the battering that Britain's taken over the last few weeks. David Cameron was down here in Longford on Monday talking to local people, hearing the different sides of the arguments. Obviously people want homes, there's limited space on which to build them. The Environment Agency gets involved all the time in these developments on floodplains. It's up to them whether they approve or not. They generally like to approve, but put it this way, last year alone, over 500 properties were given planning permission, even though the Environment Agency didn't approve. So it doesn't, the Environment Agency can't actually stop these things, it can merely offer advice on them. And as we can see from looking down around Longford, there is so much water on the land now, and it could be days, perhaps weeks, before it drains away. And this is exactly the sort of land that the planners, the developers are wanting to build on. And it does certainly raise questions about the wisdom of these developments and what the wider implications are for the broader area. Are there knock-on effects when you lay concrete down in the ground here in large amounts? Surely the water that may be prevented from flooding these houses is simply moved on somewhere else. And that's the local argument from many of the residents here. I'm going to be talking to the local MP, Lawrence Robertson, and some of the local people on the ground in a few minutes to get a better insight onto this whole question of building homes on Britain's floodplains.